In this lesson, let us identify in this image which one is the trapezoid and kite. Okay, so what is trapezoid and kites? These are the quadrilaterals that do not have a property of parallelogram. And ito naman yung mga quadrilaterals din na ang opposite sides niya may intersect at some point. But this one is an example. Okay, this image is an example of what? Of a trapezoid. Trapezoid. Okay, that is a trapezoid. So, alin ba dito ang kite? Ano ba yung Tagalog ng kite? No? Saranggola. This one is an example of a kite. At ito yung pag-aaralan natin ngayon sa lesson natin. So, this one is a kite. Now, let us define a trapezoid and its parts. Okay, so this one is a trapezoid. So to define this shape, so we have the trapezoid. Ito daw yung quadrilateral, no? So a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exact one pair of a parallel sides. Okay? May isang pair lang siya ng parallel sides. So ano 'yun, no? But first, let us identify the parts. Okay, so this one is what we call the base, and ito ay base din. So may base tayo na dalawa, no? And on the other hand, we have the legs. We have two legs sa ating shape. Now, alin dito yung sinasabing one pair of parallel sides? Itong mga base. Okay? So, palagi yon. This one is the pair of parallel sides. That is the description of trapezoid. To define the segment that connects the midpoints of the legs of a trapezoid, let us draw a trapezoid here and pangalanan natin yan na trapezoid ABC D. Okay, ano bang ibig sabihin nun yung midpoints? Ngayon, mag-drawing muna tayo dito ng midpoints. So, yung midpoints yung mga gitnang points ng dalawang segment. Okay, so these are the midpoint. So, we have two midpoints. And ang sabi, we will connect them. So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Ko-connect natin yung dalawang midpoints ng ating mga legs. Kapag na-connect na natin ang dalawang midpoints ng dalawang legs, ang itatawag natin dito ay mid-segments. Okay, mid-segments. Now, we will use this formula to identify the mid-segments of a trapezoid. We have 1/2 times the sum of the two bases of the trapezoid. Okay? So, ayan gagamitin natin yung formula later on. Now, at this point, identify muna natin yung parts ng ating trapezoid. Okay? So, inati ko yun sa gitnang line. So, ibig sabihin, itong dalawang line na to ay congruent. They are equal to each other. Okay? Since sinati ko nga sa gitna yung ating leg. Okay? So, same sa gitna ng BC. So, this one is congruent to this one. Lagyan natin ang markings. They are congruent to each other. What else? We also have the name of our mid-segments. And as we continue our work, let us consider trapezoid ABCD shown above. Ang sabi, segment EF or the mid-segment EF is equal, okay, this one is equal to, so we will use the formula 1/2 So we have 1/2 times, gamitin natin ng mga pangalan ng ating trapezoid. So base 1, we will use the segment AB. So this one, that is our base 1. So palitan natin ng base 1 ng AB. So this will be the AB plus the base 2, we have segment CD or DC. That will be our base 2. So base 2 or DC. Okay, that is the formula. Ganyan na natin siya gagamitin mamaya. Next, meron tayong dalawang uri ng trapezoid. And as you can see, inifine ko dito yung isosceles trapezoid. Alin ba dito ang isosceles trapezoid? Ito ba? Or itong shape? Tignan natin mabuti yung definition. Ang sabi, an isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid whose legs are congruent. Legs are congruent. So, alin ba dito yung legs? Okay? Identify natin sa given na to. So, we have this shape. Since a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides, therefore, these two shapes are an example of a trapezoid. Bakit? Kasi parallel sila. Right? Ano pa? Identify pa natin ang mga parts ng shape na to. Okay. Dako muna tayo sa shape ABCD. So, these two legs, yan. Pansinin nyo yung kulay. Tignan natin. Dito naman sa EH, segment EH, segment FG. Okay, ang ibig sabihin ng kulay na yan, kung magkaiba sila, ibig sabihin hindi sila congruent. Kung parehas sila, congruent sila. So, segment AD is not congruent to segment BC. They are not congruent to each other, so hindi na to isosceles. That is an ordinary trapezoid. And this one, segment EH, is congruent to segment FG. Right? And this is an isosceles trapezoid. Tandaan nyo yung dalawang legs dapat congruent para maging isosceles trapezoid. Hindi lang yun, no? Hindi lang yun ang ibibigay ko sa inyong katangian ng isosceles trapezoid. Ano pa yung mga katangian niya? So note, let us note this one. Unang katangian na i-share ko sa inyo, a trapezoid is isosceles if and only if the base angles are congruent. Okay? So, kapag congruent daw or equal yung ating mga base na angles, then they are an isosceles trapezoid. Okay? So, basta yung base angle dyan, yung angle H and angle G are congruent. Angle E and angle F are congruent. What else? Ang sabi dito, a trapezoid is isosceles if and only if the diagonals are congruent. Okay? So, the diagonals are congruent. First, let us illustrate kung ano ba sinasabi dyan sa property number 2. This diagonal HF and diagonal EG are congruent to each other. So, yan. Masasabi natin isosceles trapezoid yan. What else? Yung panghuli, if a trapezoid is isosceles, okay, malalaman natin isosceles ito, then its opposite angles are, no, it's not sides, angles are supplementary. Okay? So ano ba ibig sabihin ng supplementary? For example, dito sa ating illustration, si angle E and angle G, they are supplementary, which is equal sa 180 degrees kapag pinag-add silang dalawa. And like this one, angle E plus angle G is equal to 180 degrees. Okay? Because they are supplementary. Angle H and angle F, H and F is equal as well to 180 degrees because they are supplementary angles. Tandaan natin itong mga katangian ng trapezoid, pero ngayon dumako na tayo sa another shape, yung kite. A kite is a quadrilateral with two distinct pairs of adjacent sides that are congruent. Okay? When we say adjacent, ito yung magkatabi sa Tagalog, di ba? So, ano yung two distinct pairs? So, AB, segment AB is congruent to segment BC. And sabi sa definition, segment. Okay, there are adjacent and congruent, right? So, yung kulay dilaw na segment dyan. Magkatabi sila at congruent. What else? Segment AD is congruent to segment CD because they are adjacent. And we can classify it as congruent. No? What else? Let's identify all the properties of this shape. Okay? So, ngayon, yung mga properties na to, may tuturo ko sa inyong dalawang properties. So, una, ang sabi dito sa shape na to, the diagonals of a kite meet at a right angle. So 90 degrees. So anong ibig sabihin nun, no? Itong right angles form at the intersection of the diagonals. So yung AC and BD nag-intersect yan, makakabuo tayo dyan ng right angle. So, lagyan natin dito ng right angle. There you go. Alright. So, another property ng kite ay meron lang exactly one pair of opposite angles na congruent to each other. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Ito yung property number 2 natin na kites have exactly one pair of opposite side, or no, it's opposite angles that are congruent. Okay, congruent. So ano bang ibig sabihin niya, no? Meron tayong angle ABCD. Alin dito yung isang pair na congruent to each other. So, let us use angle A and angle C. So, based on the properties, these two angles are congruent to each other. So, maliwanag na they are congruent. Okay? So, next. On the other hand, angle B and angle D, okay, ay hindi na sila equal. Okay? They are not congruent to each other. Tandaan natin to, yung mga properties ng ating kite, si diagonal BD and diagonal AC, kapag nag-intersect sila, makakabuo ng right angles. Now, yung pangalawa, si angle A. So, angle A is congruent to angle C. Meron lang tayong isang pair ng opposite angles na congruent. However, angle B is not congruent. Okay, not congruent to angle T. And these are the important properties na kailangan nating matandaan sa mga susunod na task natin. Now, I want you to find the value of x in the trapezoid below. Okay? Sige, feel free to pause this video if you know how to solve the value of x. Okay, let's identify the parts of its trapezoid. We have 21, we have 27. These are the bases of this trapezoid. Though, parang nag-rotate lang siya ng konti, yan ang mga base natin. Okay? And nahati sa dalawa yung ating legs, right? At makakabuo tayo ng segment dyan. So, these are our legs. Okay, yung blue. Wherein, kung saan nyo makikita yung dalawang midpoints natin, na kapag kinonect natin, magkakaroon tayo ng mid-segment. Basically, ang gagawin natin dito, yung tinuro natin yung natutunan natin kanina na yung mid-segment formula, right? So, the formula for the mid-segment is equal to 1/2 of the sum of its bases. Dito sa ating formula, meron tayong tinatawag na base 1. Ang base 1 natin ay si 21 at yung base 2 natin ay si 27. At ang ating goal dito ay mahanap yung value ng x na nasa mid-segment. Okay? Now, so we have 1/2 times base 1, okay? So, which is 21. Ilagay natin yan dito. That is 21 plus base 2. Okay, 27 ang ating base 2. This one is our base 2. Okay, that is 27. Okay. Let us simplify the equation. So, 1/2 times 21 plus 27, we have 48, and the half of 48 is 24. Okay, that is our mid segment, pero hindi pa tayo natatapos dyan dahil hindi pa natin nakukuha yung value ng x. Yan lang ay value ng mid segment. Okay, so para makuha natin yung value ng x dyan, let us continue our solution here. Since nandito yung ating mid-segment at alam natin ang value niyan is 24 at nandyan din yung x, gagamitin natin yan. So we have this solution. 5x minus 1 equals 24, the mid-segment value. Okay, so we have 5x equals 24 plus 1, that is 25. Then x will be 5. So the value of x in the mid-segment is 5. In the next task, we need to find the value of y in the isosceles trapezoid below. Kanina napag-aralan natin yung mga properties ng isosceles trapezoid, and we have to give an angle P and angle R. To be able to solve for the value of y, feel free to pause this video and balikan nyo yung property na yun. And now, let us use this property. Ang sabi sa property na to, yung sum down ng dalawang opposite angles ng ating isosceles trapezoid ay supplementary or equal sa 180 degrees. So, angle P and angle R are equal to 180 degrees. So, 64 para sa ating angle P. So, that is the angle P, 64. Okay. Plus, the measurement angle R, we have 4 times 3y plus 2 equals 180 degrees. Then, we solve for this equation. We have 12y plus 8. Okay, that is 8 equals 180 degrees. So, we add 64 and 8, then subtract dun sa 180 degrees. So, we have, that is 72. 64 plus 8 is 72. And, minus natin yan sa 180. 12y is equal to 180 minus 72. That is, 108. Okay? And for the y, we have 108 divided by 12, we have 9 only. So the value of y in this task is 9. Go ahead and check if it's correct. So plug in the value of y in the y dito sa ating measurement angle R. Dapat 64 siya. In our final task, we need to prove that this shape is a kite. Okay? So ngayon, alamin natin muna yung parts ng ating given. So we have the segment EF is congruent to segment GF. Angle EFD is congruent to angle GFD. And from the given, we need to prove that DEFG, okay, is a kite. Now, we will use the two column proofs to prove this one. Now, for our first statement, ang ilalagay natin dyan, segment EF is congruent to segment GF. Now, what do you think is the reason? Okay, bakit ganyan, no? But first, let us illustrate the first statement. So, we have this segment is congruent to this segment. Kasi nga, kahit ito, yung adjacent side ng ating kite ay congruent dapat. Okay? They are congruent. Lagyan natin ng markings ang ating mga sides, segment EF and segment GF. Okay? The reason is from the given. Okay? Hindi natin nakuha yung statement na yan. Now, for our statement number 2, so we have also angle EFD is congruent to angle GFD. So now, I want you to look at this illustration. So, angle EFD, ang sabi, congruent daw kanino, lagyan natin ng angle dyan, kay GFD. So, they are congruent. So, lagyan natin ng angle dyan. They are congruent. So, saan natin makukuha yan? Yung statement na yan ay manggagaling saan? Pero lagyan muna natin ng markings dyan. They are congruent to each other. So, lagyan natin ng shade para mas makita natin, di ba? Ayan, the reason why that is already given Okay? Given na yan. Given. Now, let's move on to the next statement. From the image here, we can say that DF or segment DF, so segment DF is actually congruent to segment TF, right? So segment DF, yan ay yung isang diagonal dyan. That is actually congruent to segment TF. So lagyan natin, pakita natin. Yan. So parang as you can see, parang mirror siya, no? So we can say that the reason why is from the reflexive property. So pwede natin gamitin yung reflexive property dito sa pangatlong statement natin. So tuwing ginagamit natin yung reflexive property, may nakikita tayong dalawang congruent triangles, tama? So tignan natin kung ano yung makukuha natin dyan. From statement number 4, we can see that triangle DEF is congruent to triangle DGF. Pakita natin dyan. Since may reflexive property tayo, so we have this triangle DEF. Yan yung unang triangle. Sabi, congruent daw siya kanino? Kay DGF. As you can see, we have two congruent triangles. Okay? What's the reason? So you can see we have the side we can use this postulate, no? The side angle side postulate. So we have the side angle side postulate. Now, for the fifth statement, since meron tayong dalawang congruent triangles dyan, pwede natin gamitin yung side ng triangle na yan. So we have the segment DE and segment TG. They are actually congruent to each other. Why? Kasi nga, itong nanggaling yan sa dalawang congruent triangles, right? So segment DE is congruent to segment DG. Parts yan ng triangle. So we can say or we can state the reason na yan ay CP-CTC, or ang ibig sabihin yan, yung congruent parts or corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay? Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Dahil nga nanggaling yan sa dalawang congruent triangles. Okay? I hope naikuha niyo yung point na yon. Number 6. Kung nakikita natin mabuti itong shape na to, this is actually a kite. Okay? That DEFG is actually a kite. Tingnan natin. Lagay muna natin yan sa statement natin, sa huling statement. So we have DEFG is a kite. Why? Okay? This is the reason. If a quadrilateral has two distinct pairs of adjacent sides that are congruent. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Adjacent, magkatabi, distinct pairs. Okay? Tapos congruent pa sila. Congruent pa sila, no? Pakita ko muna sa inyo, no? They are congruent. Itong illustration na to. So, si segment DE, DG, and segment DE are congruent, segment GF and segment EF are congruent as well, then pwede nating masabi na ito ay isang uri ng quadrilateral na ang tawag ay kite. Then we are done.